Okay, good afternoon, Her Royal Highness, Mr. Chairman, Lords, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here and to tell you some backgrounds and some details about the first floating dairy farm in the world, now under construction in Rotterdam. And my speech is about transformation. My name is Minke Van Wingerden, and I'm partner from Beladon. And Beladon is already designing constructions on the water for over 7 years. And here you see a few. For example, a cruise terminal, which we can submerge in case of a hurricane. It's designed for the Cayman Islands, but also a dance club for Singapore, 2 hotels, and other nice, funny things. Why, mostly the first question which pops up, why do we design buildings on the water? Yes, because we have some land challenges. In the first place, of course, we have a shortage of land. The world population is growing, so we have to look in new opportunities for land. The other thing is that the population is living in the city, the urbanizations, which causes a lot of problems like logistics, but also waste problems. And the third one is the environmental issue. We have to deal with the rising CO2 level, temperature rise, and also sea level rises, which means floodings. To illustrate this, I take you to Jakarta, Indonesia, and what we see over there is there was a large flood in 2007, and people thought to be smart and hire the dikes. But what you see already in 5-6 years, the dike was not high enough. But the main issue is that we not have to deal with the rising sea level, but also the subsidence of the land. So for example, in Jakarta, there is land which subsidized 14 centimeters a year. So we have to look in opportunity for new space. And maybe in the future, we will go with each other to space, but in the meanwhile, we have to deal with Mother Earth. So 70% of the Earth is water, so why not use it? When you look at the world map, a lot of big cities are situated in deltas. So why not use the water around the deltas to build on? But when you want to live on the water or process food on the water, you have to deal with your own waste, your own energy, your own food, and water. And that enforces you to innovate. So, and that brings me to the floating farm in Rotterdam. Actually, the floating farm is about future food systems. Probably you don't know it, but in the Netherlands, we do have a professor, future food systems. And she embraces this project very much. This is actually the place where now the floating farm is built. We have a small booth over there, which we call our visitor center. And last year, we had already 7,000 people from all over the world who visited our booth, our visitor center. So a lot of people are interested in this new project. And where did this project actually started? It started in October 2012. We were busy in New York with a project also on the water. And then Hurricane Sandy hit New York City very badly. So Manhattan was flooded, but not only Manhattan, also Hunts Point. And why do I mention Hunts Point? Because in Hunts Point, every day come in and out about 1,500 trucks with food to feed the city. And in October 2012, the city realized itself that when the trucks cannot come in or out, the city has only for 2 days fresh food. So a lot of big world cities, they have only for 2 days fresh food. And then the idea came up from transformation. I don't know if you know the word, but we invented it. It's a combination between transition and formation. The idea came up in New York, why not produce fresh food around or in the city on the water? And these 3 guys, they are my colleagues. They are from different fields of expertise, and they are the founders of this idea. And we started with the idea that, of course, when we want to make a farm on the water, the cow is the most important thing. Most people call it a cow, but we call it a biomass upcycle machine. You put in raw materials and water, of course, and after a while it gives you nutritious food and also raw materials again. For us, we thought when we are on the water, where can we get fodder for our cows? So together with Philips, we started a project to let grass grow under LED light. And our first idea was, in the flotation device, probably we can let grow the fodder for our cows under LED light. But suddenly we realized that it would never be enough. It would be about 15% of the fodder. And after that, we rethinked this idea, and then we came up with the next idea, with the next solution. Because in a lot of big cities, you have a lot of waste. And what to do with the waste? Nowadays, mostly we burn it. It's waste. But what we are going to do, we are going to feed it to our cows. Because it's not waste. We have our biomass upcycle machines to make it nutritious food again. And in this way, we are not circular on ourselves, on the farm, but we are circular within the city. So, for example, in Rotterdam, we have a beer brewery, and from them we get our beer broth. We have also a factory for potatoes, and that gives us the potato peel. We have golf courses, and we have sports fields, which give us the grass. And at last, we have also a windmill, which gives us the bran. So that now is about 80% the fodder for the cows. The other thing is, for the energy, we are now making a floating solar panel system, which gives us enough energy for the whole farm. And we are we are building now the farm, and we have already that solar energy to build it. So this is the design of the farm. As you can see, it's very iconic. And why do we make it so iconic? Because we think that the agriculture sector needs to be a little bit pushed up, a little bit sexy again. Because in the Netherlands, it's not so easy to find succession. It's not so easy for farmers to encourage their sons to go on with the farm. And what we see with this project, there are a lot of young farmers who want to work with us, who want to have internships or things like that. So it's iconic, but it's also very transparent. And what we have done, we have stacked 3 layers. The first layer is the flotation device, the one where we wanted to start with let growing under LED light fodder for the cows. Now we have a lot of technical stuff in it. There's also a little small room for education. But on the other hand, we will go on with a project, also LED, but under LED light, not grass for the cows, but other, for example, fruits or things like that. The first layer, which is the transparent one, is the process floor. What we are going to do there is process the milk. We are going to make yogurt, fresh yogurt and milk, of course. There's also the processing of the manure. There's a small shop. And there's also the place where all the fodder from the city comes together. It's going to be mixed up, and with a kind of elevator, it goes to the top, and on top, it's the best place. There will be our cows. And as you can see, it's possible for the cows to go on and off, because we also have a small pasture next to our floating farm. This farm is an innovation lab, because it's a small scale, and it's just to try things and to start with. It's all about education, because we are all talking about a lot of food waste. But when you think that children don't know where the milk is coming from, living in the city, it's important to make them aware what a love and energy it costs before you can drink a glass of milk. So education is very important. It's iconic. I already told you something about it. It's transparent, because that all has to do with food safety. Everybody can visit our floating farm and can see what's going on and how the milk is bottled and so on. It's very scalable, because this is a farm with only 40 cows, but it's easy to scale it up to, I think we should start the next one with 120 cows. And it's also circular. I already told you about it. So here you see the actual status of the floating farm. As you can see, it's still under construction. And we expect that March, April, the first cows will come in. Here you see it from a little bit closer. The transparency is very clear. And here you see the inside. You can already see where we will process our milk, the machinery to process our milk. And this is the port of Rotterdam. And here everything is taking place now. It's interesting to show you that the place where we are now situated is a small part of the harbor. And in the next 10 or 15 years, all the businesses, the port businesses will be gone, and there will be only housing and offices. So the whole site is in transition. And that's about the transition and the farmation, because we think in the next 10 and 15 years, the farm should be the center of the society which has now been built over there. So everything is about urban transformation. And we have already designed the next one. It's a chicken farm and also a greenery farm. So Stein, it's interesting. We could cooperate in the future, I guess. And with the three of them, we will realize a complete food strip in the harbor of Rotterdam. And it's all about livable cities. So this was my story. Thank you.